My Canadian pal Al donated this rather splendid parasol, but I'm not sure that it will withstand anything more than a very slight breeze. I was about to do a very interesting little bit about where all these different boats were going to and stuff, but there's a chap over there with some bins, and he's been walking around the marina for the past 15 minutes pulling these bins, and it's just too noisy. Okay, he stopped. So this boat is Danish. It is on its way to the Mediterranean. They're going to go to the Adriatic Sea. On the other side of this boat is Nigel and Yasmin. They're heading to the Mediterranean. Like me, they don't really know where they're going to go. This is a chap called Peter. Here's an interesting story. He started out somewhere in the north of Germany, and whenever he gets to a junction, he literally tosses a coin to decide which direction he's going to go in. We have a couple of Norwegian chaps in a Birchwood, a 1984 Birchwood. Mine is a 1987 Birchwood, and they are on their way to Norway in this boat. There's a nice little boat arrived from Germany. Our friend Al got up early this morning and left from there. He's headed south that way. You go out to the river, turn, head down that way. I'm sure we'll bump into him again. Although he kind of gets a move on. He wakes up early in the morning, has his breakfast, and then has his breakfast and just heads off south again. I have one last little shopping trip to do that I'm not going to take you with me because I don't think you need to see another of those. And then I'm off. Leaving Lyon. I managed to get to the museum yesterday, which was fun. Leaving Lyon in about, I don't know, 2 hours, maybe less. And then just a push down the Rhône all the way to the Med. Kind of a big deal because it's taken a lot of effort to get where I am. And it should be quite an easy trip. Okay. Goodbye to Lyon. It was a nice place. I really enjoyed it. And the two temperature gauges are normal and normal, which is good. The makeshift sunshade seems to be working so far, but the first bridge is coming up and we're just going to go straight through the middle arch. They're just out doing some like boating lessons. It's good. I'm approaching the first lock. They don't speak English, but I tried to explain what I was doing, and they're preparing the lock. I've got a red and green, so we're looking good so far. I'm just going to go really slowly. I feel like I'm completely out of my depth here. It's like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but somehow I'm doing it. So right now there's a big boat coming out of the lock, so I've got to hold for him, but I don't want to drift onto that because the wind is blowing quite strongly. We got about 20 knots, so I'm trying to keep out of the boat's way but not drift onto the rocks. This lock is huge. Volume wise, this is easily the biggest I've ever gone through. You could fit a battleship in here. I gotta be honest, that was a little nerve-wracking. That's a huge, huge lock with like a billion liters of water coming through it every time a boat comes through. And the wind was catching me and putting me sideways, which is not where you want to be and looks really unprofessional. But the mooring pins they're built for big boats, so there's only one. I can't fix on two, front and back, which means but we did it. That's what matters. Relatively safely, a little white knuckle in there, but all good. We've got about 10 kilometers to go to my first break stop, which I'll be very happy to make. Not because I'm exhausted, just because it's a little nerve-wracking and I want to get to my first little destination spot. So the lock just got back to me and they said 15 minutes because there's obviously a boat coming the other way. So I'm just going to go and piddle around. We are approaching the next lock, Cours-les-Barres, and I have a red-green. Again, this is like a battleship-sized lock. You can see back there, and you can see up there. But they just open it for me, which is really nice of them. Thank you, Ecluse people. Major motorways that crosses France. The nice gentleman from the marina said he has a better spot for me that has less boats going past, so we're going to try and find that. Time to wander down and visit the captainary, I don't know, and give them, I think, 19 euros for the night, which is pretty good because you get a nice safe haven, water, power, neighbors. It's pretty cool. There's a little kitty on this boat over there. Bonsoir. Well, I made it here with no problems. That was good. A couple of very big locks. I mean, like aircraft carrier size locks. I'm not joking. But a good day, like 40-50 kilometers, and good. And as the sun sets behind the hill over there, I made it. Today was pretty good. Didn't have any real problems with the boat. Little traumatic going through the very big first lock, but made it. The wind was just beating me from behind and making the aft of the boat swing around. I couldn't do anything about it. We made it. The other good news is that I managed to fix my Revolut account. It shouldn't have taken 3 days. Somehow my passcode had got corrupted at their end, not mine. I know my passcode. I've had the same freaking passcode for 3 years. but whenever I entered it, it wouldn't accept it, which meant I couldn't open the app. And the only way you can really talk to the tech support is through the app. So I got caught in this stupid, vicious loop, and they just didn't get it. So I was trying to talk to people on their social media who were relaying messages to their tech support crew, because the tech support crew aren't on Twitter. I don't like Twitter. It's a stupid way of contacting your bank. But that's the only thing I could do, and it finally worked. Ugh, I need a baguette. Kind of fun exploring these quaint little French towns. Success. And in the center of just about every little town and village is a kind of space for arts, creativity, performance, markets, all sorts of stuff. It's really nice. I really like it. This place is loaded with culture, something that other places seem to have forgotten. It's a little far away, but you can see there is one of the big barges. That one looks like he's got a ton of wood on board. Just a lot of logs. And for once I have remembered to shave and wash my hair before talking to the camera in the morning, because sometimes I look a little rough. But anyway, so here we are at this rather nice place whose name I would butcher, so I'm just going to put it on the screen here. So today we go south again. We're almost there. It's kind of weird to believe it, you know. It's like it's actually getting close. This was an idea I had, oh god, I don't know how long ago. I think I first thought of this when I was in downtown LA, probably about a year before I left, because I talked to my mother about what I was going to do when I came back, and I think I sort of jokingly said maybe I'll go live on a boat. I didn't know that that meant living on a boat and going all the way to the Mediterranean, but after Brexit kicked in, I just had no interest in staying there, so that was that. I'm very glad I tied that on yesterday, because at some point it almost went over the edge. If it hadn't been for that one little piece of string, I would have lost this camera. And I would like to stay here longer, because I think there's some interesting things around here, and there's certainly some interesting people and some interesting boats. But that's not what we do. We keep moving. We'll probably push off at about 10 o'clock, roughly. I mean, it's a good idea to have an idea. It's a good idea to have an idea. Did I just say that? A good tip is to not keep looking at the clock when you're about to leave, because if you do, you'll rush something instead of just doing it. You'll be like, I don't need to check the bilges because whatever, I got to get out of here by 10. So have a target that you're going to leave, but then stop looking at the clock, go through your checklists, and then leave. See what the time is when you've left. So that lock was pro quality. Did a really, really neat job on that, and had no issues at all. So I learned. Now we've got about 5.5 kilometers to go, and then I am going to take a lunch break. It's good to just stop, change the batteries in the cameras, take a little rest, and then move on, because I can't really stop anywhere here. It's not like the canals. And the canals, you can just turn off the engine and sit there for a while and nothing's going to happen. Here, if you turn off the engine and just sit there for a while, you're going to drift a mile downstream, and that's not good. So On these big rivers, I can actually use the autopilot. What you can do is you just set a course in there, which is straight ahead. But if you want to turn right a little bit, you can hit that button there, and it puts on 10 degrees, 20 degrees, and you see the boat turning. And then you can turn it back. But it just means that you don't have to have your hands on the wheel the whole time. It's not going to prevent you from colliding with something. This is not a Tesla. But it does mean that you can spend a little bit more time looking at the scenery, checking stupid shit on Facebook, and it's super useful. I didn't realize that this was so useful, and I knew I had it, but I couldn't get it working. And it wasn't until the nice person at Dover Sea School found out that there wasn't a particular button push downstairs that made it work perfectly. So thanks. I was originally planning to go a little bit further today, but it's really nice here, you know? So rather than keep going, I'm going to stay here the night. But it's a bit of an experiment because there's no electrical hookups. I've got good solar, but it's almost like I'm being anchored somewhere, you know? And I'm going to be doing that. So this is like, okay, Penny, pretend you're just at anchor somewhere and see how it goes. Because I've done it before a bunch of times, but I've changed a few things on the boat since then. So as I'm going to be doing this a week or so from now, I just thought I'd use this as an excuse to kind of anchor out, even though I'm not really anchored. But it is really nice here. It's just a little mooring I spotted on Google. It's not even marked on any of the sort of boating apps or anything like that. You can stay here as long as you want, so long as you're not here between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, because they have a special boat that comes through here and they paid for this thing, so they get priority. And of course, the second I launched my little drone there, where you can see it's safe, this wind suddenly came in, just funneled through and started blowing at like 20 or 30 knots, which is way fast for the little drone. But I got it down, so all is well. But I was thinking as I woke up this morning, it's getting close to me hitting the Mediterranean. And then what? I mean, Malta, yes, I can do that. It's going to take a huge amount of effort to get to Malta. It's a lot. It's further from where I am now to Malta than it is from where I started in Bray to get here. So that's a long way. And I love seeing these little towns because they're so pretty. I mean, they're ridiculously pretty. And compared to other places I've lived, I mean, Torquay's not ugly, but it ain't this. But I lived in kind of Van Nuys once. Hollywood was quite nice, but still, it's not quite this, is it? And then there's downtown LA. I mean, I enjoyed my time in downtown LA because I made it what I made it, you know. But I would like to emphasize to people that if they have a silly idea, sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's a really good idea to pursue that idea. Do it. Just freaking do it. Travel. It's never going to do you harm. Well, it might do you a little harm, but you'll get over it and you'll be a better person because of it. I just talked to the lock and they said that there's a boat coming this way, I think. So I'm just gonna have to wait about 20 minutes, which is fine. When I do that, I just turn into the wind and the current, and then just set the autopilot here, and that just holds me steady. Normally I wouldn't double loop it, but I did this time because there's a lot of wind blowing, and it's a floating cleat, so I know that it's not going to snag, which it could do if I double looped it. Noise. If I double looped it and I was dropping, that would be bad. But because the cleat is going down with me, that makes it okay. So that lot was a little scary because there was a lot of wind going on, and it just makes things difficult. But managed it like a champ, no problems. Friendly people at the lot, so that was good. Yeah, there's definitely no space. I could try and get in there somewhere, but it's getting a bit cramped for a boat this size. So there's another mooring a little bit further on, about 3 kilometers further on, so I'm just going to go there instead. Just approaching a different marina, about 5 kilometers from the last one, but this one looks like it's got some space. You can see right there. So I'm going to just pull in there and have some lunch. I did want to fly the drone a bit more, but it's so windy that just is an added complication. The drone doesn't fly as well when it's windy. I mean, it does, but it kind of bounces around a lot, which uses up more processor, and it's more difficult to control. So I'm not going to fly it. But here's a picture of the Rhône anyway. Okay, I am ready to go, but I'm going to wait for the nice people in front of me to leave, because getting out of this particular berth is going to be a little bit tricky with this wind blowing, because there's a boat right behind me that I don't want to slide into, and you can't move boats sideways. So I'm going to wait till they leave, and then I'll just follow them out. We've got 5 boats. 1 up there, 2, 3, 4, and 5 back there. Okay, I just heard like a big clunk come from that end. Oh, there you go, it's opening. All of these locks seem bigger than the last one, but actually they're all the same size. Battleship. I have no idea what my plan is for the rest of the day. I'm just going to kind of keep going. It's about probably 3 o'clock right now. So our next radio check-in is channel 20. But because there's boats ahead of us, they don't need to talk to every boat. They can just talk to the front boat. We'll just follow in. So all good. But it's good to know what frequency you're on anyway, in case there's an alert or something goes wrong. Then you need to be on the case. Well, all my boaty friends have peeled off into that marina, but I want to keep going. I'm just gonna keep pushing.
Robot creatures. I would measure us. I would watch us. I would keep a fucking very close eye on our capabilities.
This kind of consciousness that we have ability to reach.
The problem is if you speak to them in a little bit of French, they think you speak French, and I don't speak French. So it's almost best to just speak to them in English because you don't speak French. Otherwise they're going to answer you in French and you don't know what they're saying. To be totally honest, I'm not completely sure what I'm supposed to be doing. But we don't have a green light yet, so I'm just going to kind of hang out here. Okay, we just got the green light, so we're heading in. Even the bigger boat is having issues with the wind, just blowing the backside around. But the gates are closing, so we're good.